Peace, peace. Yeah, it's Thinking Man's Templar. I'm just gonna jump right into it. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. And most of you men would agree. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity because of the simple fact that it's no such thing. It's just that women are scared of men. Women are paranoid of men. At the end of the day, most men can subdue, accost, injure, even kill and maim the average woman with his bare hands. Not to say that that's right, because it's not. But if a man pushed far enough, can easily do so. That's what an actualized man knows about himself. See, the average woman has become so comfortable with her counterpart being subdued mentally and indoctrinated that they become comfortable as one of the trainers in Barnum and Bailey's circus with those tigers and lions that they whip. That's how comfortable women have become with men, because masculinity has been watered down and sutured and put back together in this new beta metrosexual effeminate male version of masculinity. And it's to the point that women are craving their feminine nature, no matter how much they try to subdue it, is craving masculinity so much in everyday men that they rather deal with men that are dysfunctional because they get some kind of feeling of masculine energy from a dysfunctional thug, street, whatever, criminal. But they try to tailor masculinity to their own comfort level. But women don't understand that naturally men, such as men in the manosphere, in the red pill communities, men will naturally find a way to get back to where they were. You can't stop or deflate nature from being what it is. Men's natural masculinity will begin to harbor itself and then grow and spurn or spread, throughout men. Now, from at this point, it's just mental, but then it's going to be a true actualization of men that women aren't going to be able to thwart. No matter how much they try to abuse their sons or indoctrinate. See, women have gotten to the point where abusing men is normal for them. Using and abusing men is normal for them. Using men for their sex, their money, their resources, in divorce court, child support, and then discarding men like used toilet paper is normal for the average woman. Men's feelings don't come into a play. Their emotions don't come into a play because they know that there's no consequences of this man's feelings and emotions. Now, every once in a while, we do have situations where men do take their feelings out on women. Not saying there isn't abuse of women, but I'm also saying that let's not act like there isn't an abuse of men as well. We can sit there and say that there's a such thing as toxic masculinity. That's truly bullshit, because you have to look at it from a woman's perspective. How else can she make men feel like they are dangerous to her and that they have to pose themselves in a safe way? Think about this. If you're trapped on a planet with your counterpart that is essentially stronger, faster, more intelligent than you in every way, and you have to basically trick yourself into believing that you are competing with this being, wouldn't that say that essentially you are paranoid and fearful of this being? Because at the end of the day, like I said, there's nothing you can do to stop this being from overpowering you if he really wanted to. You understand? Because there's no such thing really as women raping men. You know why? It's because women can't rape men that don't want to be raped. That's why. You understand? They make it a thing because women know that they can't rape men, that if he physically did not want you, you could not rape him unless he was substantially outsized by you. And you see that also in society where women, they're so paranoid of men that most obese 300-pound men, you find them with the most scrawny, physically incapable men, because that allows them to have substantial strength and power over that man in any situation. We got to understand women's paranoia of your true strength. Women don't want to see men actualized. Because like I said, if a man wanted to rape a woman, and of course that's not right, and that's the most simp thing you could ever fucking do, so it shouldn't be even a thought process. But if a man wanted to, most men could pull it off. Not saying it's right, it's definitely wrong. But if women wanted to take sex from men, it would be damn near impossible without a weapon. Just because a man's testosterone wouldn't allow you to do that. And I think women have a jealousy. Just like women are jealous of men from being able to piss outside at their convenience and write their name in the snow, and women have such a hard time doing so. When they have to use the bathroom, they have to use a bathroom. Or if they pee outside, it just looks ridiculous. And they can't really do it everywhere. But a man, I can creep in any little crevice or corner and piss if I really have to. You got to understand women's innate jealousy of men. And women have an innate jealousy of men and their overall dominance when men are actualized. You see, back in the days when men had to hunt and gather, and men fought wars with swords and axes, close combat, not drones and technology. See, there was no such thing as women ever uttering a thought of toxic masculinity. There was no such thing as women ever truly being disloyal or blatantly disrespectful of their male counterparts as women are today, because they got to see in real time what their men were capable of. They got to know that these men could kill them, because they saw these men kill other men out in battle. They saw these men come home with large animals like buffaloes and whatever they hunted, wild boars, and animals that can easily kill them. But they come home with these animals and skin them and eat them. These women knew that the men of those days were nothing to fuck with. So that's why women were more in check. And when it came to the point where men actually had a government that allowed men to know that you reap the benefits of a country or a system that you have created, women understood their place. See, women didn't want a large pie of something they didn't build. You understand? Because not once ever in my life have I seen women up at 4 o'clock in the morning paving a highway, or up in the high 100 floor realm of a skyscraper being built in the frame, doing the construction way up at those dangerous altitudes. Women are not sitting around building planes and apartment complexes and cars. We know this is a fact. Every angle of society has been built by men. We can say, but who men or what men? But we know the foundations of where most of the financial energy or strength came from this country. It was through free labor. And that's how this country got its startup money. But that's another subject. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity in those days, because women understood that masculinity was not toxic. Masculinity was divine. It actually built a safe environment for the men, actually quelled and challenged nature, cut down the trees, tame the wildlife that would essentially kill and maim 100% of women. But for some reason, men found a way to keep wildlife separated from their women and children. Bears, lions, tigers, mountain lions, poisonous animals, snakes, hawks, whatever you want to call it. We don't see those things just walking around snatching up children and babies or attacking people, because men have actually tamed nature. You understand? There's no such thing as toxic masculinity, and there never was. It's just that women are truly terrified of men when they're actualized, and when these men know that they're men, because women know that there are consequences to their actions. Just like in these countries in the Middle East, Where women, if single, they face severe consequences, just like a man, for their actions, their crimes and misdeeds. You understand? Everyone complains about that. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, but fairness is wrong. If a woman steals, she gets the same penalty as a man. Not like an American judicial system where a man and a woman can commit the same crime but do different time. Out there, it's even across the board. Women get treated for their consequences of their actions in the criminal court or whatever. Even when it comes down to executions, women get the same, outcome. But no one ever talks about the fact that also in these Middle Eastern countries, that a married woman, if committing crimes, the husband is now responsible for her actions. Isn't that some shit? But no one talks about that. What about the double standard that a husband in the Middle East is also responsible for the actions of his wife? If she goes out and steals or murders, everyone looks at the husband and he's partly responsible, and he also gets penalized for the actions of his wife. No one talks about that though. See, most men are indoctrinated and most men are blind, which is, sadly, I would say roughly over 95% of men. This includes your friends, uncles, family members, fathers, cousins, most of them. I don't know many red pill men that are truly initiated. I don't know many. I don't know any in person. I've never met any red pill men in person besides Negro Ninja. We met and had a conversation one time and talked in Barnes & Noble. That's one of the only red pill men that I've ever met. You understand? Every other man I meet is not red pill. Only men online. That's why I always keep saying that red pill men have to connect dots. We do these hangouts online in Obsidian and O'Shea, and we do build and have conversations. But it has to come to the point where we begin to evolve and connect on levels where we begin to be able to do business. Because it's hard for red pill men to do business and deal with economics with blue pillars. You understand? Because they don't understand certain principles. These men aren't initiated the same way. Red pill men have to start to build and connect with red pill men in real ways, in real time ways, in the physical, and be able to, build upon that and start businesses and keep each other on point. What's the point of being red pill when only the red pill you meet are online? When they're actually red pill men in your city that y'all need to meet up and build. But back to what I was saying. I was listening to some female comedian, and her whole spiel was about men and feminism and sexual identity and all that bullshit, right? And what she was basically always trying to play, she was speaking about blue pill men in her corny jokes and talking about toxic masculinity and men catcalling and all this shit. When we know that red pill men don't catcall. Red pill men aren't doing these fucking things. That's why simps are so dangerous, because they represent a vast majority. And women are safe and sound around these men now. Even though they complain about them and disrespect them and call their very essence toxic to their faces, because there's no repercussion or blowback. Except for Mgtow and IBMOR, a social movement, but not really a physical blowback. Women are that comfortable with the lions in the cage. That's why they use this terminology, because they truly believe that the only way To live amongst men is with them completely subjugated. Just like you see in those Wonder Woman movies, these Amazonians who live on this island where men aren't allowed or men are subjugated and killed. You understand? And men are used for sperm and babies. Nothing more. They're harvested. Just like women treat men now. Just in subtle subterfuge type ways. Sperm snatching. Resource taking. See, because the people that control this country and this society know that keeping the society in balance allows for the top % of people to remain in power. When you take away the structure of family, you take away the structure of individualized thinking. Because women without fathers put their children directly in the system to be taught, educated, and indoctrinated, just like a conveyor belt pumping out products. See, but men deal with reality. If women chose men that were initiated, there'd be enough men who were choosing to try to push back against the system. See, men that aren't masculine or believe that their masculinity is toxic will never feel the need to disrupt or destroy the system that subjugates them. That's why blue pill men are being pushed out like Fords in a fucking car manufacturing factory. Because they need those men to keep the cogs in the machine going. You understand? They need these women to be able to use these men and pull them out of their households so that they won't be able to teach and educate their children to the realities of the world. Because a working woman is just going to dump her children off in a daycare or dump her children off in a fucking school that's going to teach their children how to be worker bees and go right along with the system. See, that's why they don't want men in the households. This isn't just a black thing. This is all over across the boards. It's just black people are the canary in the coal mine. We're the example of the extreme in the experiment. So now they can tailor how they're going to do it with their own people. Because now they can see how black people, through the failed experiment, have become highly dysfunctional. So now the powers that be know that they won't allow their women to get that out of pocket. Because they see what it does to a group of people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Black people are a fucking experiment. Feminism in the black community in its extremities is a fucking experiment. The extremes of it, the levels of damage it was allowed to do to black children, black families, black sons, black daughters, the damage it was able to do to us economically and financially. They see that is the extremes, and that's when white men begin to pull the reins back on their women and won't allow their women to go far as black women were allowed to go. That's the canary in the coal mine. See? There's no such fucking thing as toxic masculinity. It's just society's way of saying this is the way we need men to feel about themselves. Now, if I was in a public forum speaking this, maybe I was around a friend and there was a couple of women around, I would know that immediately once I began speaking, the male guys would jump on me. If I said men built society, men created society, men built the roads and the buildings, the first thing these blue pillars were going to say, what do you think? You guessed it. Well, I don't see you out there building buildings. What streets have you built? You know, programmed, indoctrinated, simp thinking. Because they feel that women and their pedestalization and the worship of them is being challenged. Their God is being challenged. Essentially, I don't care how much a man tries to act like a player or call women bitches or hoes or whatever the case may be, he still worships women on not a finite degree, a general overcast degree. A broad level, fully initiated degree. These men worship women still. Even the most disrespectful CAD type dudes that you see out there mistreating and using and pumping and dumping, those men still worship women to a degree. Men that refuse to speak the truth around women still are indoctrinated with that innate sense of fear of their captors. They still feel like women can do damage to them. They still feel somewhat paranoid of all the indoctrination that their mother put them through. So when they feel the environment become intense for women, they automatically, their simp gene becomes activated. And they'll attack you and say, you haven't built a skyscraper. You haven't built a naval ship. Who the fuck are you to talk that bull crap when it's actually full facts? They just feel women becoming uncomfortable with the truth. But what they don't understand is that women, their hormones, their biology isn't attracted to simp nature. Simps are just something to be used like a Venus flytrap uses a fly for its nutrients. It doesn't really fuck with you like that. You're just another, you're a lick, you're a Vic, you're a Mark. Men with money are the ultimate lick. Simp men with money are the perfect lick for women. That's why you see these athletes and stars constantly been taken to divorce court and wrung out for their money. It's because these men are perfectly indoctrinated fools who worship women. See, that's why when I talk in public, I become disliked, unliked, hated. I make the room uncomfortable. I have the ability to snatch the oxygen out of the room with my words at this point. You understand? And men will immediately become defensive because they feel that their world and their reality is being shaken. One of the worst things you can do or most dangerous things you can do is red pill someone who's not ready to be red pilled. They'll fight you because their reality is being stormed, especially if you do it in the presence of women. Men don't want to see women as they really are. They don't want to see the true nature of women because it's too much. They don't want to see women and understand that women are just using you. If women aren't completely subjugated, they are going to dominate you. They're going to use you and you'll be nothing but another head on her mantle. If she's not completely subjugated and dominated like you can naturally do with your just regular physical strength. As long as they trick men into believing that they are weaker than women and that women are stronger because they bear children, then women will always have the upper hand when it comes down to the siphoning of resources, the use and abuse and disregard for men. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity, and it never was. It's just a myth. But as long as men believe in this, as long as men take this to heart, men will always be at the whim of the female counterpart because they believe what society has told them. They don't believe that they're indoctrinated. They don't believe that they're slaves. They don't believe that they're just cogs in the wheel. The number one thing for a red pill man to try to achieve is freedom and independence. And try to do that before he gets too old. Financially, spiritually, emotionally. You kind of want to separate yourself from the matrix. That's my whole goal now. All I want to do is make enough money to unplug myself completely, where I don't financially rely on the system. You understand? This should be your goal. I saw another video where someone's trying to break down toxic masculinity in the movie Fight Club. And their first thing was when Brad Pitt said to himself, essentially, they first started the fight. He said, "Hit me." He said, "Why?" He said, "What do you know about yourself if you've never been in a fight?" This is how far men have gone. There are men I know who've never been in a fight. There are men I know who've never been in any type of confrontational situation. Men are trained. Men are becoming easy marks for society, for the system, and for women. Men that have never been in any type of conflict. So when conflict does come by way of the government, these men will be easy rollovers. And then don't let there be some type of invasion from another country. These men will be easy. These men have never shot a weapon. They never held a gun. They never held a sword or a knife. They never physically hurt anyone. They never took boxing lessons or UFC or Muay Thai or anything. These soy boys that these women, you see these women walking down the street with, proud like they're walking down the street with their, how can I say it? It's like seeing someone walk down the street with a tiger on the leash. They almost have a confidence about them because they know that, look at this tiger. Look how it won't attack me. Look how it's not slicing my throat with its claws. And that makes them feel powerful. These are how these women walk around with these modern, brainwashed, soy boy, indoctrinated men. They feel that confidence. You understand? I'm a truck driver. I'm on the highways. And you know what you know about the highways of America? A lot of America's secrets are shipped around on these highways. A lot on these train tracks. A lot of things you can see that are going to disturb you. You see trains, long ass freight trains with 100, 200 tanks and military vehicles, shifting them across the country. Why? Shifting them to the West Coast. What do they know that we don't know? I see tractor trailers and trucks with big ass tanks as their freight on the West Coast. Where are they taking all these tanks? Where are they taking all these military vehicles? I seen a Black Hawk on a fucking train before, with the fucking blades bent down and the helicopter, you know, looking like some giant prehistoric mechanical insect. One of the most deadly machines on the fucking planet. They don't want men to think this way. They don't want men to connect dots. Society wants men to feel like being themselves is toxic. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. As I said, it's just society, and women are scared to death of initiated men. I've spoken about how women are terrified of men. They are. Women are scared of men in every way. You ever jump at a woman or really get riled up and you see how scared women get? The only women who act like they're not scared of that are black women, because their feminist mind has destroyed them so much that they actually believe the lie. They actually believe that they're equal to men. That's how delusional and brainwashed they are. They believe they can actually fight and win against men because they watch their big mamas and their big fat aunts yoke and grab up their skinny, frail ass uncles and cousins. And they watch other men mentally be subjugated to where they bow down to as soon as a black woman raises her voice. His head goes down, his argument's defeated. As soon as she threatens to take away that cruddy vagina, his arguments gets defeated. See, but other races of women are actually scared of their men. When men jump up and get in their face, you ever notice how women crawl up in a corner or they cry? Or when there's an intruder in their house and it's a man, they go hide under the bed. You understand? They're hiding in the closet crying. That should tell you women are actually truly terrified of men with bad intentions. So if they keep all the men subjugated, that lessens the fact, the amount of men that are going to be like that. They don't want that. Society doesn't want initiated men. White society doesn't want initiated black men. They don't want black men to really come together mentally and not worry about if their women are upset or not. And don't care if their women get left out the fray. Because that means that society has a problem on its hands. And society in general will have a problem on its hands if men as a whole begin to wake up. But as long as men keep believing that their masculinity is toxic, whatever makes you a man is toxic, we're going to continue to have to make these videos. And it's never going to stop. We can make a million videos, all pointing out every intrinsic fact about why men should wake up and take the red pill. But as long as we continue to have men who don't care, don't give a fuck, as long as they got pussy on their plate, these men are always going to be with shackles around their ankles. And they don't even see the invisible shackles that don't even materialize until they end up in a divorce court or in a child court hearing. These men don't realize those shackles are appearing around their ankles until this woman says she's pregnant, or society lets us know that this country's going to war and there's nothing we can do about it, and we have to sit back and watch. Or we watch politicians continue to siphon money out of the common people and put it back in their pockets, and the men in society don't say anything and don't do anything about it. We just keep continuing to be cogs in the wheel that keep this machine going, because no one wants to lose their place, even though it's at the back of the race. You're still fighting over last place. You're still proud of being last place. You know, men have to realize that it's more to your being than what the world tells you. Women are scared to death of you. That's why they go so hard to silence our voices. That's why they do what they do, because they know deep down there's nothing they can do to a man that knows he's a fucking man. And a man that knows that as a woman, you can't do shit to me, even if you wanted to. Ronda Rousey couldn't beat up an average man when he got into a rage. Do you understand what I'm saying? Maybe she in a boxing situation with a man that wasn't trained in hand-to-hand boxing or fighting or wrestling. Yeah, she could probably get some blows in. But I'm talking about a man who's fully enraged, where he's gone red. Ronda Rousey would probably get killed with a man's bare hands. This is a trained fighter. Even though she's trained to fight, a man that's in 100% Hulk rage, she wouldn't be able to do shit with. Not even the least bit. Because it won't come down to anything but brute strength that she doesn't have. I don't give a fuck how many weights she lifts or bags she hits, heavy bags she hits. You can't beat the male principle when it's fully unleashed. There's nothing you can do about it. The only way women can defeat the male principle is by subduing it, by watering it down, by manipulating it, by tricking men into believing they don't have that place. That's why that person made the video about when Brad Pitt said, "What do you know about yourself if you've never been in a fight?" It's because that's all men need to know. Once men know that and they feel that, there's no going back. That's why you ever notice that a lot of football players and boxers, men that deal with their testosterone and their adrenaline and their strength on the gridiron and in the boxing ring, those men often have a lot of domestic abuse cases. Not so much basketball, but usually football and boxing, even UFC. You ever notice that those particular sports, there's often a lot of domestic violence in the relationships of those men, because those men are completely, fully in tune with their masculine principle. And when women start to mouth off and disrespect them, those men know through their daily activities that this woman can't do shit to me. You understand? And these women are pushing these men because they're so trained into believing that the lion is just a lion. They forget that these men are lions in the battlefield every day, men in the military men in the football arena, men in the square circle, these men have hit that switch. You understand? That they know that you have no right to speak to them anyway. They know that if you put your hands on them, it's nothing. And these indoctrinated women still believe that they can push these men to their limits. And then these trained professional combatants, you know, they end up going tiger. And that woman realizes that her whip in that cage no longer works. And that tiger was never really afraid of the whip. It never really was scared of the pain of the whip. It was just indoctrinated to believe that that whip was actually strong enough to stop that tiger from killing you or killing the trainer. That's it. It was all in the mental. Just like an elephant that's been indoctrinated, you can tie it to a plastic fold-up chair and that fucking elephant will stay there because in its mind it believes that it can't leave that post because that elephant has spent the majority of its life tied up to small objects. So when you put it in front, tie it to that fold-up chair, that elephant will stay there. That's how deep indoctrinations can go. And once that lion realizes that whip is of no consequence to a lion when it's fully in lion mode, that trainer, rest in peace. So never let anyone believe there's anything toxic about your masculinity. It's all about mastering your masculinity. Mastering that lion inside of you, that tiger, that whatever the fuck you want to call it, that dragon in your fucking heart. You have to learn to master it. Take up something physical, boxing, Muay Thai, UFC, something. Work out, tame it, because you don't want to be one of these guys, these simps that have accessed this strength but haven't tamed the simp in them. They get emotional from women, so they haul off and slap a girl for raising their voice or doing what women do. They don't know how to tell a woman to back the fuck off or walk away, or to just laugh in her face because you know she's nothing more than an overdeveloped child, a child that basically developed sexual organs for the sake of reproduction and child rearing. That's literally it. That's all a woman is. Men only truly reach adulthood. Women never accomplish adulthood fully, mentally, unless there's a man there to walk her through it. Women are nothing more than children. That's why women can get along with kids. Boogie, 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 oogie, googie, oogie. They can talk and relate to children because they're more closer to children in intellect. Only thing that God gave them was developing breasts to feed kids and a vagina to push kids out and a pelvis bone that's going to separate when it's time for her to push a baby out. They're developed for that. But then in ancient cultures, a boy was taken away from the mother and put under the wing of the father so that he can learn about reality. And the daughter was kept around the mother that she can learn her role in society. Even at a certain point, the mother wasn't even allowed to discipline the boy anymore because they didn't want that boy to ever feel like a woman could discipline him. It was almost like the son could tell his mom to shut the fuck up or push her away or tell her to get out his face, and he only listened to his father. He only answered to his father. And when the mother got out of line and disciplining the son, the father would step in and tell her, "You're wrong for that. Don't you speak to my son that way." You understand? But in the black community, men are up under their mothers until they're well into their 20s. What does that do to their minds? What does that do to their brains? You understand what I mean? These are the things you have to put together. This is real. You have to really think about this and understand what I'm trying to say. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity, man. It's just who the fuck you are. This is a thinking man's Templar, where we say one red pill life, and the truth far outweighs a million blue pill lives drowned in lies. This is also the place where the soldiers can come in from the war, remove their armor and their swords, and have a conversation of high intelligence with like-minded men. I hope I got my point across. I just wanted to talk about that. I know it's kind of the basis of all this, but I just got finished listening to something that kind of just like threw me off because it was so much bullshit. But that's the beauty of it, you know? I'm able to take the information and push it back out into the atmosphere as truth for you guys. So I hope this video was valuable. I hope it adds to your arsenal of truth and wisdom. And I want to thank you for listening. Again, this is Thinking Man's Templar. And you know what I always say, cover your motherfucking six. Peace.